Welcome to this video on setting up your Totoro catalogue. Whether you use Totoro Learn, Totoro Engage, or a combination of the two, the catalogue is one of the main places your users will go to find content. The great thing about the catalogue is that you can decide what is shown and how. Here you can see the default catalogue settings in a new install of Totoro Learn and Totoro Engage. Let's have a look at how to configure this. First, decide what types of content the catalogue should show. Next, setups from general settings. Decide whether you want the catalogue to show as tiles or a list, or whether you'll give users the option. Decide how many items will show before the learner needs to load more. At the top of the catalogue, users have a top-level browse. By default, this is based on category, but you can remove this entirely or set it up based on a custom field. This is particularly important because it's probably the main way users will filter content. Think about what would be most useful for your users. For example, you might choose a custom duration field so users can choose content based on how long they have. You can also decide whether to enable the featured learning option, which will highlight specific items in the catalogue. I'll say that in my catalogue, content with the topic communication should be shown as featured. Finally, decide whether to enable the detail in your catalogue. If this is disabled, the user will be taken straight to the content they've chosen on selecting it from the catalogue. If enabled, the user will see further information. I'll save my changes and move on to setting up my templates. Here you'll decide how your item template will look, and your detail template if you've enabled it. You aren't deciding what content is used in them yet, that comes next. But first you need to decide what to leave space for. You can decide whether to include an image, any hero data which appears in the top left corner of the item, and the description. If there is other information you know you want to include, reserve space for it by adding text and icon placeholders. Finally, decide whether you want to display a progress bar on the tile item. If you enable the detail option, you'll need to repeat this process for your detail template. In the same way you can decide whether to include the title, any rich text formatted content such as the course summary and the description, and placeholders as before. On the next two tabs you'll decide on the content that populates the templates you've set up. For each learning type you can set up the template differently. So for example, you might use the full name for courses but the short name for certifications. In the hero data section, I can decide what hero data appears for each type of content. In this case, I'll select learning type, so users can quickly see the type of content they are accessing. In the additional fields section, I can see a drop down for each learning type. That's because I added an additional text placeholder. This is where I define what information will be used to populate this placeholder. I'll complete the same process for the details. In this case, I added a space for rich text content because I wanted to show the summaries for my formal learning content, so I'll add that here. I know my site has courses in multiple languages, so in the additional text field I added, I want to display the language the learning is delivered in. Let's now have a look at the catalogue. Your eye is drawn to the content and the communication topic, which is shown as featured. Each item shows the title of the content, the image, and the information I chose to populate the item template with. In this case, the learning type and the category, which is used for Totoro Learn content. If I select a tile, the detail information I've set up is displayed. The top-level browse allows me to filter content by category, and an additional learning type filter has been automatically added. I can add more filters by going back to the editor and selecting the Filters tab. The learning type filter is showing here, but I can easily remove it if I want to. Instead, I'll add a filter based on topics, which are used for Totoro Engage content. If I save and view the catalogue again, I can now filter my content based on the topic associated with them. This is a powerful tool which allows you to set up any kind of filtering you'd like. You can also customize the look and feel of the page by adding blocks above and below the catalogue content. For example, you might choose to add the current learning block so that users can find all of their current learning and the content available to them in one place. Finally, did you know that you can also set the catalogue to be the default landing page for your Totoro site? If you want your users to get to your content as quickly as possible, this might be a good option for you. To do this, select Navigation from the Quick Access menu and choose the catalogue from this drop-down. So that's configuring the Toto catalogue. How will you set up your catalogue?